Ohio. Khujand in 1936, 1991, Leninabad, the city in the north of Tajikistan, the administrative center of the sub-region. One of the most ancient cities of Central Asia. Second largest city of Tajikistan, important transport hub, political, economic, cultural and scientific center of the country. There is an airport and the railway station Khujand. In 12 came from the center of Khujand in the city of Ghafaraf. Name. The modern Russian name of the city, Khujand, is sometimes transliterated as Khujand or Khujand. Since the Russian Empire until 1936 the name of the city. It was in Russian accepted to transfer as Khujand. Since January 10, 1936 the city officially was called Leninabad, in honor of 5.1 Lenin. At the same time in historical literature for the period till 1936 writing of Khujand remained. Also this writing in official practice continued to be used in the name of Khuzandsky district of the Tajik Sea. The resolution of the Supreme Council of the Tajiks No. 246 of February 26, 1991 to the city returned the historical name Khujand. Khujand, the second in population city of Tajikistan after Dushanbe. For January 1, 2019 181,600 people lived in it. On a population census of 1897 to 8431 residents specified in quality native Tajik, 900 Uzbek. From them 305 Isartsky adverb. 458 Russian. Radical Khuzanats are generally Tajiks and visitors from areas and Kishlaks Uzbeks, Kyrgyz and other people. The population of the Khujand agglomeration totals 931,900 people. Khujand is located on coast of the Sirdarya, below the Karakum Reservoir, in 35 km above the Uzbekistan Bekabad, in the territory of the Fergana Valley, between spurs of the Turkestan Range in the south and mountains Mogolta in the north. The city is located in 200 km to the northeast from Dushanbe. On the road -300 km. Climate. Khujand is located on the bank of the excellent Sirdarya abounding in water and from all directions is surrounded with mountains on which slopes magnificent gardens turn green, and all this together, water, mountains and vegetation in the summer, at a local heat and droughts, gives to air favorable freshness and purity in the winter moderation. All is surrounded with magnificent gardens of which it is more here than in other areas of the area. All these orchards, fruits grow here in surprising abundance and they supply the neighboring cities. In Khujand the steppe climate prevails. Within a year there is a small amount of rainfall. On classification of climates of Kyopan, an arid semi-arid climate of mid-latitudes with cool winter. Average air temperature in a year in Khujand -16 C. On formation of climate of Tajikistan including Khujand, the same air masses which interfere on the territory of Central Asia have a great influence and define character and change of weather. Loss of rainfall near Khujand and across all territory of the Fergana Valley is generally connected with cyclonic activity and the nature of the spreading surface. The major role in loss of rainfall is played by the southern Caspian, Mogab and Verkhanemirsky cyclones and also Massachusetts of cold air moving from the west, the northwest and the north. reaching the frontal surface of mountains, become air masses climb this surface, are cooled and gain additional effect for formation of clouds and loss of rainfall. All these air masses interfere in limits of the Fergana Valley from the west and the southwest, but only way they face the western and southwest slopes of ridges of northern Tajikistan, and they receive more rainfall than leeward slopes, intermountain valleys and hollows. So, on Navatreni slopes of Zarafshansky, Turkestan and Kuraminsky ridges, the amount of precipitation in a year makes more than 400–800. It is confirmed by the fact that during the winter period in these mountainous areas deep snow cover is formed, what the avalanche during the spring period is connected with. In process of the movement deep into of the highland, these air masses reach the internal territories, which are strongly grown poor by moisture owing to what intermountain valleys and deep hollows receive very few rainfall. In Khujand, the annual amount of precipitation drops out. During the cold period of year of 87, and their greatest number in March and April. 25–27. The smallest in summer months. 9–11 August. As a rule, rainfall in the form of snow drops out only at negative temperatures. Near Khujand, steady snow cover is absent in 20% of winter, and in 3–10% of winter isn't formed absolutely. Here height of snow cover only in February on average reaches 1–3 cs, and in the rest of the time of year is absent. The greatest decade height of snow cover was noted in the third decade of February –47 cs. Average date of emergence of snow cover falls on December 15, and the earliest for October 31. The number of days with snow cover is equal to 21. Khujand is one of the most ancient cities of Central Asia. On some sources, foundation of the city falls on the 7–6 centuries BB. Very possibly, Khujand is Kirapolis, the city founded by Cyrus Veliki on northwest boundaries of his huge Achaemenid Empire. It was won by Alexander of Macedon, who reconstructed and strengthened them, having called Alexandria Ascot. That is Alexandria the Extreme. Being on the Great Silkway and connecting Samarkand to the Fergana Valley, Khujand had favorable geopolitical arrangement and paramount transport value. Subsequently it was won by Arabs. The 8th century. And in 1219–1220 it showed fierce resistance to Genghis Khan's troops, but it was destroyed. However, soon the city revived and became one of the largest shopping, cultural and scientific centers of the Central Asian region. And even today Khujand, the important industrial, scientific and cultural center of northern Tajikistan. Since the most ancient times, Khujand, being at the intersection of tradeways of the East, on the Great Silkway, I was one of the most important economic, strategic and cultural centers of Ferret. Khujand was the homeland of the famous astronomers, mathematicians, doctors, historians, poets, musicians. One of them, the founder of local astronomical school Abu Mahmud Khujandi. Salavium Khujanda, called in the 14th century Kamal Khujandi, the author of the well-known ghazals. In the Middle Ages the outstanding poetess, the musician and the dancer Makasti was so popular. According to the legend, in Khujand there was Haji Nasruddin's house. In the 19th century in Khujand such cultural figures as Toshkad Sasiri, Sadr Khan Hafiz, Haji Yusuf conducted active educational work. On May 24, 1866 the city was occupied with the Russian army and was a part of the Russian Empire. Entry into structure of the Empire of the Center densely populated, having rich economic resources. The district, the most important knot of roads between the Fergana Valley, the Tashkent Oasis and Zarafshansky Valley, large trade point, open new opportunities for development of Khujand. The city was the administrative center of the Khodzensky County of the Samarkand region. In July 1916 in the city the Central Asian Revolt began. In the Ussur. At the beginning of 1918 in the city the Soviet power was established. Till 1929 the city was as a part of the Uzbek Tsar. Since October 2, 1929 he was included in structure Tajik by the Ussur, and on January 10, 1936 the city was renamed into Leninabad. In honor of 5.1 Lenin. In 1941 in Leninabad the Tajik Agricultural Institute, which was higher education institution of People's Commissariat for Agriculture of the Ussur and had the postal address. City of Leninabad, Krasnaya Street, 25 was placed. During the post-war period Leninabad turned into the largest industrial and cultural center of Tajikistan after Dushanbe. The industry of the city became the diversified, equipped advanced domestic and foreign appliances. In the city worked one of the largest enterprises of the Republic. In 1991 tens of the enterprises of the city made during a day of as much industrial output how many in all pre-revolutionary Tajikistan in a year. Fabrics of the Shelka Combinate went to 450 cities of the Ussur and 2 foreign countries. Since 1968 years Leninabad actively expands the borders. The city stepped on the right coast of the Sirdarya, having thrown through it 2 bridges. In 1970 in Leninabad the trolleybus movement was started up. For years of the Soviet power radical restructurings happened in the field of healthcare. By 1991 in the city there were 40 medical and preventive institutions in which about 5,000 doctors and experts worked with the higher and secondary medical education. Large changes happened in the field of national education. In 1991 30 schools at which about 30,000 pupils studied worked in the city. In 1986 the city celebrated anniversary, the 2500th anniversary since the basis. In this regard the decree of Presidium of the Supreme Council of the Ussur the city of Leninabad was awarded with the Order of Friendship of the People. On February 26, 1991, considering the wish of citizens of Leninabad expressed as a result of a local referendum, the Supreme Council of the Tajik Tsar decided to rename the city of Leninabad into the city of Khujand. The 16th session of the Supreme Council, which took place in the Arbab Palace in Ten, came from Khujand in November 1992, restored the constitutional system in the Republic and elected the chairman of the Supreme Council of the Shens. Rachmanov. Theater, the local history and archaeological museums, the park in honor of the poet Kamoli Khujand, who includes the mausoleum and house museum of the poet. In 1932 the teacher training college, where only 26 people studied, was open. Today at 16 faculties of this higher education institution transformed in 1991 to the Khujand State University. More than 10,000 students study. In 2010 as a result of merge of Polytechnical Institute of the Academician M.S.
Osimi and the Khujand branch of the Technological University of Tajikistan, the Khujand Polytechnical Institute of the Tajik Technical University of the Academician M.S.
Osimi was open. In the city, the Regional Library of T. Asiri works. Sites: Mosque Mausoleum of the Sheikh Muslakhiddin. The 17th-18th centuries. Khujand Fortress. Component of a fortification system of the city. It is founded in the 6th-5th centuries BB. According to the data obtained by the North Tajik Archaeological Complex Expedition. MTAS. The Khujand fortress at first was surrounded with a bulk shaft, is later a wall of considerable thickness from raw. The city and a citadel, components of antique Khujand, had the separate fortifications surrounded with the wide and deep ditch filled with water. The remains of these strengthenings are found under the central part of left bank Khujand and surround the territory of the ancient city of 20 hectares. With development of economy, trade, the system of board and population, the city expands. In the 6th-7th centuries, new fortress is under construction. Medieval Khujand consisted of three main parts: citadel and rabat. The citadel was located on the bank of the Sur Darya at Gate of Rabat. Medieval Khujand fortress was considered as one of the most strengthened in Central Asia. During Genghis Khan's invasion, 1219-1220, for a siege of the city directed 25,000 army from 50,000 Central Asian captives.
Heroic defense of the Khujand fortress and the island located near him on the Sur Darya under the leadership of Tamermalik makes one of bright pages in the history of liberating fight of the Tajik people.
As a result of the Mongolian invasion, the Khujand fortress was destroyed. According to the historian Hafiz Abra, at the beginning of the 15th century fortress lay in ruins. According to Zakiruddin Babur, at the end of the 15th century fortress was restored and by the residence of the local governor. At the time of the Usur in fortress there were tank repair workshops, then teaching military unit. Sheikh Muslakhiddin's complex, monument of national architecture of the 16th century. It is located on west side of Pandashanbi Square. The facade of the building is turned on Shark Street. The mosque is built in 1512-1513. Multi-column. 30 columns. Adjoins east wall of the Winter Hall, also multi-column. 20 columns. And enters the courtyard of the mosque. On Shark Street, the extended southern wall of the mosque without any apertures is turned. Only on the right, on the edge of a wall, there is an input device of a darvozahan with a deep peshtek, the portal. The arrangement of columns in the mosque is subordinated to a modular grid. On the Avna 6 rows on 4 columns. 30 modular squares. And in the winter room, 5 rows of columns on 4 repeat. The average columns on a northern facade of an Avon are trimmed by a carving on all height and bear the raised part of an architrave with the massive typesetting stalactites which kept the painting remains. At an entrance and over mikrabi 3 board squares of a ceiling are painted, but paint strongly darkened and were showered with a part. Walls are covered with a good carved decor, mainly geometrical motifs. Both doors of the Winter Hall differ in a thin graceful carving. The building frame with adobe filling and the subsequent plaster with Ganchevi solution is constructive. Intervals between a framework are used for the device of niches at and a mihrab both in the winter hall and on the avna. A mosque roof flat earth with a clean adobe plastering. The base on which there are building walls is laid out from a burned brick. The courtyard of the mosque from the east and partially the north is limited to one-story hudra. In a northeast part of the yard, the minaret with the traditional lamp issued by arch-apertures from where the fine panorama of the city opens rises. The entrance portal turned on Shark Street differs in tile facing and carved ganchevi panels on a facade.
The hard portal represents only a front decorative wall from a burned brick complemented from north side with adobe constructions to 2 floors with a wooden avon above.
Carved gate of the portal are executed in 1513, 1514. Lips took part in decorative finishing of the mosque. The Mullah Mansur Shamsitzin. The mosque in general has surprisingly harmonious image and represents a magnificent model of synthesis of decorative art and the construction culture of Khujand. Kamolu Hud's monument. It is established in 1996 in honor of the 675th anniversary since the birth of the poet. It is located at VSD Hoods on the square. Against the background of the wings which are representing sanctity of the person and at the same time designating wings of inspiration of poetry are represented. The face of the poet is turned to the place of his birth and towards sunset. Height of the sitting figure of 3.5 m, wings of 5.5 m. The space occupied by a monument 1000 square m. To create an image of the strong person, spiritually rich who made many trips, the sculpture is consciously created barefoot as there are sculpture canons about beauty of a human body. Author artist sculptor K.N. Nadarav. A similar monument of the same author is established in 1997 in Tabriz on the place of burial of the poet. Orthodox Church of Mary Magdalene, the oldest in the territory of Tajikistan. The Orthodox Church constructed in 1884 at the expense of the Moscow merchant Ludov. Also far. Write comments. Read comments. Interesting people will tell interesting stories. All of good mood and good luck.